What happened next at Black Pearl? There is a letter. Black Pearl closed just 4 days after the episode aired, with Yelp reviews post-filming mostly negative, particularly regarding food quality. David, one of the owners, expressed frustration in a letter to Gorden, allegedly blaming him for a 50% drop in sales. Gorden revisited the restaurant in the next series, but it remained closed. The Hog Pit opened in its place, where Gorden enjoyed the food, though Yelp reviews were average. The Hog Pit eventually closed in October 2020. David returned to his previous career in the music industry, releasing an album in 2010. Black Pearl's episode aired on September 25, 2008, filmed in February 2008, as part of Kitchen Nightmares Season 2, Episode 4. Letter, Part 1. Hello everyone. Well, after 3 years, we have fried our last clam and shucked our last oyster. On October 1st, we sold our lease and fixtures to someone who may be better equipped to handle the exceedingly high cost of doing business in New York City. As you may know, in February, we filmed an episode of Kitchen Nightmares, at our restaurant, hoping for the best. We were naive, believing that the show was at least somewhat honest. We truly felt we could learn something from that jerk, and we anticipated a solid boost in sales from the publicity. The sad fact is, from the beginning, it was clear that the show was a joke. From the very first day they were initiated, the changes Gorden Ramsay made were ridiculed by the press, hated by our regular customers, and were the direct cause of a 50% drop in revenues. Letter, Part 2. And, we were never able to recover financially. Our hope was that we would benefit from the publicity of participating in that horrid reality TV series, but the promised air date of May 2008 turned out to be a lie, and we were not able to sustain ourselves until the end of September, when it was finally broadcast, especially with the damage inflicted upon us by the producers and star of KN. While the partners certainly weren't on the best of terms, I do admit that we exaggerated the issues we displayed on the show in order to convince the producers to feature our restaurant, but during the week of filming in February, it became clear that the show was a complete sham. KN is simply a series of set UPS staged to illustrate situations that fit their script, and, as you would expect, their expert editors tell only half the story, the part that makes their star shine brightest. All of my brilliant and pointed comebacks were left on the cutting room floor. Darn the luck. In fact, Gordo's menu changes were horrible, and mirrored the buffet offerings of a cruise ship in the 1950s lobster béarnaise. Shrimp Louis with green goddess dressing? Letter, Part 3. His ideas were laughable, and proved to be utter failures. His innovations had nothing to do with our concept of a New England lobster shack, something he clearly knows nothing about. For God's sake, he thinks the Canadian and Maine lobster are two different species. Maybe he thinks Canadian lobsters have an accent, butter, eh. Finally, his big design change, the lobster arcade game, was nothing short of asinine. After the filmed grand reopening dinner, attended by actors, we learned, who responded to the producer's Craigslist ad and were instructed to order the new Gorden Ramsay special, very few ever ordered the lobster béarnaise again. And who can blame them? Greasy potatoes, buckets of oil, egg, and butter. Nice one, Gordo, real good idea. But what really sealed our fate was his B***startization of our award-winning lobster roll. To improve upon our recipe, he cut the amount of lobster in half, added lemon, lettuce, celery, salt, and pepper, and way too much mayo. Of course, it didn't work. It served us right for allowing a potty-mouthed teabag to mess with our New England cuisine. We should have taken a page out of history, revolted, and sent him packing and bleeding back to King George. Letter, Part 4. Anyway, enough sour grapes. While I hope Gordo meets an untimely death so that I can dance on his grave, it is time to move on. The point is, we would like to thank you all for your support during our brief time operating what we thought was the best seafood shack in New York. My partners and I really did care about everything we offered at Black Pearl. From the inception, we did our best to keep the concept pure. We made every effort to be fair to our customers, our staff, and ourselves. We remember fondly those crazy nights with Sherry Vine, Sean Lynch's Rat Pack review, the Rasta Christmas parties, and the brilliant musings of pianist Tommy Mondell. We were lucky to have you all aboard. And, of course, we thank our loyal staff for all their hard work, especially Hiru, Charles, Lana, Lisa, and Steve. Perhaps we'll do it again. Sound of my partner's bullets whizzing by my head, I don't know. If we do, we'll be sure to spread the word. For now, we'll take advantage of the newfound holes in our schedules to relax with our families and friends. Love and best fishes. David, Greg, and Brian. As I was visiting New York years back, I stopped by a seafood restaurant called the Black Pearl. I was pretty excited since it was the first restaurant I had decided to dine at during our trip. Then the other day I was watching Kitchen Nightmares and saw that this waste of a space restaurant was the same place I ate at. Disgusted by the owner's horrible attitude, I decided to post a review. Even though I know the place is closed, New York can sleep a little more comfortable now. It was the most god-awful food I had ever tasted in my life. Almost as if you had ordered rancid roadkill that was frozen then thawed and delivered to patrons. We had to send most of our dishes back because it smelled so awful. I couldn't even stand to have it within a 2-mile radius of me. On top of all the horrible frozen seafood, the manager and wait staff were so incredibly rude. On the show The Waste of a Space owner couldn't see that Gordon Ramsay, a 3 Michelin star chef with countless successful restaurants, is trying truly help him. Instead, this arrogant piece of crap was trying to sabotage the success of his own place. I have never wanted someone to fail more than this owner. Hey bozo, if your place was so great, then why the hell do people hate it so much to where you had to close down? The idiot waiter even told my wife that if she wanted fresher seafood, she should go buy a fishing rod and some bait. So happy that they closed. I went here for the oysters. I know my oyster, prefer tiny Japanese, try them at Oysters Restaurant in Newport Beach, to die for. Anywho, got food poisoning, only tried one oyster. After tasting I knew that sucker was dead for a long time. You're supposed to serve them just shucked. I wanted to speak to someone, some fat balding guy who apparently is the owner, thought they were fine, but didn't taste it. Very suspect. Okay. So can I sue? Help officer, some man named Dave tried to poison me with old dead oysters. And had me throwing up all night? So don't go for the food. Alcohol doesn't go bad, go for the drinks. I dined there about 8 to 9 weeks ago or so and it certainly left an impression on me. Food was quite good, a tad overuse of sauces but well cooked nonetheless. Atmosphere a little crowded but fun. Service was scattered but our waiter was an absolute joy nonetheless. However, our evening was ultimately soiled via the owner, David, I think his name was. This crude degenerate of a man suffocated any remnants of potential for the place by simultaneously ridiculing his customers and his own restaurant within earshot of everyone. His presence literally made my appetite go the way of the dodo. Shame, really. Black Pearl could have been a contender. Save yourself the aggravation of dealing with that foul, racist little troglodyte and head to Bluefin. Great pulled pork sandwich. Friendly service. Nice ambience. I highly recommend it if and when it reopens. I actually really like going to this bar when I'm visiting NYC. It's an easy spot to meet up with friends for some drinks and snacks. It's a decent size so I've never felt claustrophobic on a busy night. The bartender Joey is always super nice and fun. She's quick and welcoming and what keeps me coming back. I recommend the wings and friend pickles and definitely get a pickle martini. Fun place to hang and drink with your friends. Friendly staff. Great drinks and shots. Good prices too. Good music also.